Society always made me think that having multiple skills is a bad thing, but I never subscribed to that philosophy. Because, see, the human brain is the most complex and sophisticated instrument in the entire universe. And you really want me to believe that it is supposed to run linearly? Imagine having the world's most complex processor capable of thinking beyond space and time, and all that you're using it is for running Excel sheets or some software programs or some screw bolts, whatever. How's that gonna work out? I refuse to subscribe to that philosophy. Now, we are not in the industrial age anymore. This is not the era where humans need to be good at one skill. Because earlier, when the industrial era came around in Europe, the deal was that one guy has to be good at one skill. Because they needed factory workers. They needed people who can tighten screw bolts, who can type, and do these individual skills and specialize at it, because that is efficient and that increased productivity, not for the person doing it, but for the company hiring them. Now, I refuse to believe in this, because see, in today's times, AI is doing a lot of things. AI is the taskmaster. AI is literally everywhere, and everybody is getting these mundane tasks done by AI. My point is simple, that if that era is over, then why do we still subscribe to the mental models which were proposed back then? Why is being a multidimensional thinker considered a curse, even today? And that thing escalates in the Indian society. I love my country, and I spend a good amount of my day contributing to it, contributing towards its growth. But when I'm so focused on my country's growth, there are things that I see which holds my country back. And this is one of them. This worker factory mentality holds a lot of us back. There is no innovation, there is just one routine task that you are indoctrinated to specialize at. See, in my life, I've never been a specialist. I have always subscribed to the philosophy of being good in multiple things, because for me, that is the most natural manifestation of my mind, of my brain. My brain is a tool that has been given to me by God. I was born with it, and I refuse to let it go to waste after just one skill. My mind has a center for music, my mind has a center for art, my mind has a center for literature. My mind also has a center for technology. If God has given me all these centers in my brain, then why should I do one thing in my whole life? Why should I waste the other centers of my brain doing just one activity out of all the facilities that I've been given? How does that make sense to you? Because for me, it never did. To be very honest, I have never liked the specialist tag. You know, when people say that Karthik is a great coder, Karthik is a great astrologer, Karthik is a great trader, or Karthik is a great painter, or whatnot. I have done a lot of activities over my life. I have been a drummer, I have been an artist, I am a coder, I also delve in the financial markets, I run my own business, I create content, I speak in public, I lead teams. And after all these things, I am an astrologer too. I love reading about Hindu Dharma and Hindu Sanskriti. And I even run a page on Instagram by the name of Omen Sees Only, where I talk about all these things. But when people say that, okay, Karthik is this, or Karthik is that, it actually hurts me. You know why? Because when I want people to speak about me, speak about Karthik, I don't want them to speak of me as another coder or another astrologer or maybe another drummer. No. I want them to think of me like a universal force. Karthik is a life force. Karthik is a sensation. Karthik is a phenomenon. Karthik is a brand. Karthik is an icon. He is a genius beyond space and time. Because that's how all the big shots in this world are like. Look at Michael Jackson. Michael Jackson, was he a singer? Technically he was, because he used to sing. Was he a dancer? Technically yes, because he used to dance a lot and he used to dance well. But now think to yourself, do you think Michael Jackson became Michael Jackson because he was a great singer or a great dancer? No. Michael Jackson became Michael Jackson because he was Michael Jackson. He was neither a singer, neither a dancer, neither a performer, neither an entertainer. He was an experience. He was channeling divine forces through him and his music. Music, dance, the stage, they were all instruments in what he was, in who he was. He was manifesting himself through these tools, and he was not subscribing to any one of them. So today when you think of Michael Jackson, you think of all his fame and what all he did. There are thousands of singers. There are many singers who are better than Michael Jackson. There are better dancers than Michael Jackson. But still, Michael Jackson was the king of pop. It's because he was an experience. He was a divine force. To people who watched him live, it felt like he was here to do God's work. He's not just another entertainer. He is divine. And you know, this type of tagging actually builds your cult personality. And I speak from experience. I have had similar cult followings throughout my entire life. This is the cult of personality that I love in people, and this is something I really look up to. Study the science of art. Study the art of science. Develop your senses. Especially learn how to see. Realize that everything is connected to everything. Leonardo da Vinci. Another polymath who was known for not restricting himself to just one subject that he knew. So this quote means that everything in this world is connected, and the human mind just has to train itself to learn to see these connections. And if you are somebody who has multiple interests, then I am sure beyond doubt that you already have the skill of connecting interrelated, otherwise unrelated subjects. Trust me when I say this, there is mathematics in biology, there is psychology in business, there is psychology in economics. In fact, I use astrology in politics. I use astrology in people reading, closing deals, and negotiations. Now, how I do that, that's a topic for another day. But trust me, I have always been thankful to God that He gave me a mind that is capable of grasping multiple subjects with equal proficiency. And if you are someone like me, then you would relate to this so hard. If you are not relating to this right now, I'm sure there will come a time in future where you will relate to this. So at this stage I can say that whatever society might say about it, I am convinced that this is a superpower. But you know what else I'm convinced about? I am also convinced about the fact that we need to live in this world, and for that we need material. We need material wealth. We need money. And if you have so many interests, it becomes hard for you to pick one field and start earning from it. See, it's very easy for a specialist to earn, but it's very difficult for a generalist to earn. But the incomes of a specialist are far less than what a generalist can get. But the path is hard for generalists, and it's relatively easy and laid down for specialists. Because see, what is in India, what is it like for specialists? You have your 10th exam, you ace it. You have your 12th exams, you ace that too. Then you get into a technical college like the IITs or the NITs, and after that you get a very high paying job, and that's it. That's your life. Now you have to sit 10-12 hours a day looking at excel sheets, or maybe some code or something. That's it. Very easy, very laid out. But if you're a generalist who appreciates the beauty of your mind, then it's going to be a little hard for you. But trust me, the journey is beautiful. I live that journey every single day of my life. I do not regret it. And neither will you if you follow what I say next. So the issue with people like us is that we love to learn. We want to learn everything we can. But we must also prevent intellectual obesity. Now, intellectual obesity is a concept that I spoke about in one of my previous videos. So you have a look at that and you'll know what it is. Now that you know that you have multiple interests, there are two ways of actually using that for your own good and not for your own doom. The first approach is you pick those skills, all those individual skills that you can do. If you're a geopolitical analyst, if you're a painter, if you're a musician, you pick each of these skills and you create something unique in each of these things and you sell them. Now, okay, easier said than done, but that's how it actually is, and I cannot show you each of these things. But if you follow this channel, you'll see all of that happening in real time, so make sure you subscribe. So coming back to the point, you create sellable versions of the skills, of the knowledge that you have. And that is one way of doing it. Now there is another way of doing it, and this is something that I personally follow and I believe in. I find that the first approach is a little limiting for who I am. Now you may not agree with this, but I feel that when I restrict myself to one particular skill, like in a way that I create art and I sell artwork, or I create music and I sell music, people begin seeing me as an artist or as a musician or as a writer or as a speaker. But I mentioned before, I do not like that. I do not like it when people do that, because that's not who I am. So what I do instead is that I make myself the product. I am the product. Karthik is the thing you want to see. Not Karthik's painting ability, not Karthik's singing skills, not Karthik's astrology. No. My content is on self-actualization, becoming the best version of myself. Now in this approach, what really happens is that I still follow the first approach of actually creating sellable versions of my skills, my individual skills. But the difference in this approach is that I do not attach myself to those skills. It's a nuanced approach. Both of these methods are very effective in their own ways, but I like this one because it serves my purpose better. I do not attach myself with my own skills, but instead I use my skills as tools for my self-actualization. I use my art, I use my knowledge of the Hindu Shastra, I use my knowledge of astrology, I use my knowledge of business and finance to be the best version of myself and to put my brain to the best possible use, like God intended it to be. So I pursue my goals. That is my brand. I teach what I learn on the way. That is my content. And I help others learn. I help others reach where I am, wherever I am. That is the product. That is something I sell. That is something I charge for. So in this way, the product is not my skills. It is actually me in my most raw form. The USP, as people call it. It's me. It's not my skills, it is me. So it's been a few months since I started my content creation journey, but in all this while, I never called myself a YouTube content creator or a YouTuber or an Instagram creator. No, because subliminally in my mind that signals me that I am dependent on YouTube or I am dependent on Instagram to be a creator. But is that the case with me? No. If I am the product, then I always have me. I am not dependent on YouTube or Instagram. In fact, YouTube, Instagram, and all these social media channels, they are channels of me to manifest myself into your life. They are outlets of my radiance. They are not the cause of my radiance. They are not the reason why I am me. I am me because I was born this way. YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, WhatsApp, Twitter, they all just help me reach a wider audience. That is it. I can stand at the roads. I can stand at the crossroads and I can be me. I do not need anything for that. This is the most raw form of myself. So this is why I like the second approach better than the first approach. But whatever suits you, you can choose out of these two. So ladies and gentlemen, that was my philosophy for why not having a niche is better for people like us. But I'm sure many of you are still convinced that having a niche is better or being a specialist is better. That's fine. But let me say one thing that also summarizes this video for you. Your skills can never be your niche because skills are replaceable. If you're just another coder, if you're just another astrologer, if you're just another cook, people can find better, people can always replace you. But if I'm undeniably me, if I am Karthik in my most raw, original form, then that is something no one can take from me. Because that is who I am, and I am the niche. Not my skills, not something I learned, because these things can go away with time. I can forget cooking, I can forget astrology, I can forget anything. But there's one thing I can never forget, because it is ingrained within me, and that is my spirit, my soul, and myself. You can take away my house, you can take away all my tricks and toys. The one thing you can never take away from me is I am Iron Man.